Dionne Jackson Miller finds herself in some hot water again with the Jamaica Labour Party supporters. So a few days ago, Dionne Jackson Miller was at the press briefing. This is a daily press briefing held by the government of Jamaica with the information minister giving out update on the hurricane itself and the search and recovery, everything to do with the hurricane. And Dionne Jackson Miller decided to ask questions that people believe that this is something that would have been out of the People's National Party playbook, as if she was working on behalf of the People's National Party. And normally I think that some of the Jamaica Labour Party supporters give Dionne Jackson Miller a hard time, because as a journalist, sometimes you have to ask hard questions. And whenever I find Dionne Jackson Miller asking certain questions, the Jamaica Labour Party supporters, they normally dub her as an undercover PMP. But I must say, in this case, I believe that every backlash that Dionne Jackson Miller is receiving right now, that she earned it. Because I believe that it was inappropriate for the questions that Dionne Jackson Miller asked. I believe, in my personal opinion, I believe that they were inappropriate at the time that she asked them. Because just 5 days after the worst hurricane to ever make landfall in the history of not only Jamaica, but from what the numbers, from what the meteorologists, they're saying that this Hurricane Melissa, tied for the strongest hurricane ever. And this one made landfall in Jamaica and completely demolished the country. Jamaica would not be in a position to deal with this by themselves. So to see a reporter, to see her come and ask the questions that she asked just 5 days after the hurricane slammed into Jamaica, while they're still recovering bodies in the hardest hit places in Jamaica, and the questions that she's asking about integrity of this operation, about the government putting things in place to make sure that the money go in the right place, and to question the recovery effort, saying that it is slow. I thought that was inappropriate.
Thank you, Dionne Jackson Miller, TVJ. Minister, billions of dollars are going to be coming in terms of relief. Why have we not yet heard the announcement of an independent oversight committee to include, for instance, private sector, civil society, and opposition members to monitor the expenditure that is going to be done, along with regular reporting to Parliament? What we don't want is an Auditor General's report 6 months after the fact.
Whoopsie.
I have a whole heap of questions. I'll just ask a couple and yield to my colleagues.
Sure. All right, please continue. Give me two more. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, second, I've been hearing everything that's been said. However, the national response, the immediate national response, has been slow and inadequate. The government has been acting as if it didn't know the kind of damage that a Cat 5 would have done. Why have we not seen immediate deployments of mass aid to the affected communities, along with things like immediate erection of warehouses to hold such aid, immediate erection of mass shelters and or evacuations? And then finally, for now, why had we not seen an equivalent in-time response to Westmoreland as there was to St. Elizabeth, seeing that that was where the eye of the hurricane made landfall? So it was obvious that there would also have been catastrophic damage there.
All right, thank you. Those are 3 questions. And Dionne, it's good to have you here. Not used to having you at my press briefings, but I'm glad to have you. And those are questions you hear floating around, and I'm glad that we get a chance to answer them. You asked about a committee with the funds that are coming in. Yes, we're going to get some insurance payments from CRIF and some of the other policies that we have. I think tomorrow you need to listen out for the Prime Minister's announcements. There will be a body that will be overseeing that reconstruction work. That will happen, and the Prime Minister will name the members of that. There has been discussions, even with the leader of the opposition, about whether or not that could be the National Partnership Council Because remember, we have a National Partnership Council that has the opposition there, that has civil society, has academia, has private sector there. So it's a broad group of individuals that are in that partnership council. So one consideration is to use that partnership council that already exists with all of the key players and partners as that mechanism at the top. And it's going to be broader than just looking at how the funds are being paid. That committee is the one that's going to have to say, how do we build back? You know, we have communities that are close to the sea. What does rebuilding look like? Should we rebuild there? Should we rebuild somewhere else? And so there are big questions that we have to confront with as Jamaica. And the commitment the Prime Minister has made is that there will be an overarching body, whether you use an existing mechanism like the Partnership Council, or you use something that's new, a new body, but there will be an oversight body. Now, I left Cabinet early before it finished, not sure where they would have reached on it, but there has been discussions already in Cabinet on that one. The second one is about the immediate response being slow. I know Minister Vaz wants to answer, but so you can come forward, Minister Vaz. But as you come, just noting that a Cat 5 is a different category of a hurricane. And the devastation was significant. And as we've seen with many disasters around the world, and we've been looking at disasters around the world, how quickly you get to mobilize. There is always that period of assessing what is happening and getting the aid in. Yesterday I saw Red Cross, I saw GEM, I saw the World Food Programme out, and all of those are coordinated through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. And so there is a lot more happening, and you hear about the helicopters dropping food. It is, you know, after a hurricane like that, you have to assess and then re-establish new systems to get food out. And I think the team has been doing that. I know Minister Vaz can tell you more about what has happened. And in terms of Westmoreland, everybody is important and everybody is being focused on. The Prime Minister went out for 2 days straight, and he went to all of the affected parishes. He went to St. Elizabeth, he went to Westmoreland, he went to Trelawney, he went to St. James, and he also eventually went to Manchester, and he went to Hanover too. So those first 2 days after the hurricane, the Prime Minister made sure to go to all of the affected, the most affected parishes. Minister Vaz.
So I'll answer one aspect of it, and Minister Mackenzie will answer the other. There is a committee that has been named with Senator Keith Duncan and Minister Audrey Marks to coordinate with private sector. That has been going on in earnest. We met all weekend. There is warehouse spacing that has been found in Montego Bay. There's warehouse spacing that has been found outside of what the government apparatus has. I would say we are probably up to 300,000 square feet of additional warehousing that is going to be needed, because we're going to be staging from Montego Bay and Kingston, because that's where the two international airports are. I want to remind you who asked the question, and I want to remind Jamaica, tomorrow will be 6 days, because the hurricane hit on a Tuesday. So 6 days is where we are now. And I can say to you that we have not only engaged the full private sector, and they are fully supported with their assets, with their money, and with their expertise, on top of which all of the international organizations and charities who have done this kind of thing all over the world are also at the table. We met for hours on Saturday, and they have done an assessment as to where we are and what we need to do. We cannot bypass the government systems and structures that are in place, but we can take advice and we can use them, and we are intending to do that. You will see a huge improvement this week, and you will see getting better every day going forward. This government is committed, this government is competent to deal with it, and we know our limitations as a government and of course a structure, and we will get the support internationally and from the private sector jointly to deal with this in a comprehensive way, that at the end of it, when we rebuild, we'll be rebuilding for the future and fixing a lot of what problems there were for the last 60 years.
I just want to respond on the comments around the shelter and the relief supplies. I want to make it clear that prior to the hurricane season, all the municipal corporations meet with the ODPEM and the various agencies. There's a humanitarian committee of the National Disaster Council which meets almost every week. Relief items was placed in all parishes across Jamaica prior to the event. The parishes that are badly affected, all the facilities were destroyed during the hurricane. So it is not that the government did not. We have always placed relief items at strategic points across the country. Montpelier is a massive warehouse in Montego Bay, but access to the facility has been impeded because of the road conditions. And I want to make it abundantly clear that this administration is not incompetent, and we were responsible, we were proactive in preparing the country. Nobody can plan for a Category 1 or a Category 5 hurricane. Nobody can. And I am saying without fear of contradiction that the government was prepared. We provide the necessary notice to the people. We say to the country that this thing is coming, take the necessary precautions. We could not control God's hand.
You wanted to add something, Minister Vaz?
No, I just wanted to add, just for clarity, that the first field hospital was delivered to the West yesterday and should be up and running, if not tomorrow. Plus, we have several more that are coming. For water filtration plants, all of those are underway. We have, the world is helping us. Every country across the world and organizations, because they love Jamaica. So we have the support. What we need to do is just channel it and make sure that we maximize the efficiency of the implementation.
Yes,
All
so to
right.
me, it just came off as Dionne Jackson Miller trying to be like a hard-hitting journalist in that moment. And I think it was wrong place, wrong timing and everything. And I believe that as a journalist working with one of the major media outlets in Jamaica, all the information that Dionne Jackson would have needed to understand why it was a delay and to understand that 5 days is not enough days to put up a field hospital. 5 days is not enough days to restore storage for food. And Dionne Jackson Miller, working with TVJ, would have the information that hundreds of thousands of pounds of food are in both airports in Jamaica. There are countries, like I'm tracking this thing, and right now, based on my information, there are about 50 different countries either in Jamaica with freight or on the way to Jamaica, and there's not enough place to hold those food and supplies that are coming in, because as the minister said, the world is helping Jamaica. I've never seen such a response to a disaster anywhere in my lifetime, not even when Haiti experienced that earthquake years ago. This was a rapid response from the world showing up to help Jamaica. There are planes coming from everywhere across the continent, everywhere across the world, helping Jamaica. So I just think it was, the timing was wrong, and it just came off, even if it wasn't political, it just came off as political, because this is the same questions that the People's National Party, they are asking, which in my mind, I believe that those are just not, it just seemed political, it just seemed like wrong time, wrong place, because based on what we're seeing now, the response, what we're seeing happening in Jamaica now, Jamaica cannot deal with this by themselves. And as the minister stated, that they stocked up food and most of the shelter, because as I said, I'm one person and I have the information that almost every single shelter in Westmoreland and in St. James were destroyed. So Dionne Jackson Miller should have that information. So based on that, I thought it was inappropriate for her to ask those questions. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think about that exchange with Dionne Jackson Miller and the questions that she asked? Do you think it was political, or do you think it's just Dionne Jackson being a journalist asking the tough questions? And do you think the timing was right, given the fact that it was just 5 days after the hurricane? And one thing I must say too, because people, they're saying that people have not eaten and stuff like that, and based on the same time when that press conference was happening and the same time when Dionne Jackson Miller was asking those questions, at that time, the World Central Kitchen, they were in Montego Bay, securing the conference center from Sandals, one of the Sandals conference center, and announcing at that time that they were going to be cooking 60,000 meals per day that would be going to Westmoreland, St. James, and the most devastated areas. So it takes time. It takes time because most of the resources are coming from overseas. The American relief team is there. The relief team from El Salvador. People are coming from all over the world to help, because the reality is that JDF is not equipped to deal with that by themselves. So as I said, I just think the timing was bad, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.